80 National Guard troops are being deployed to Ferguson, Missouri. That's where protesters have been fighting with police for more than a week. This is the latest video from last night when police used tear gas on the protesters who were throwing Molotov cocktails at them.
Tough video to see. Susan McGinnis is there with the latest on the investigation into the deadly police shooting of an unarmed teenager that sparked the violence.
Dozens of National Guard troops are arriving in Ferguson, Missouri. The governor called in the soldiers to restore peace after another night of clashes between protesters and police following the shooting of an unarmed black teenager by a white police officer. A team of lawyers and medical examiners hired by the family of 18-year-old Michael Brown spoke today about the private preliminary autopsy on Brown. It revealed he had been shot 6 times, 4 times in his arm and twice in his head.
Because of the 2 gunshot wounds to the head, indicating that Mr. Brown was bending over as they were coming down, those 2 shots were most likely the last 2 to occur to him.
The state has conducted a separate autopsy but has not released its results, and federal officials have ordered a 3rd examination of Brown's body. People here in Ferguson are frustrated with the investigation into Brown's death. Police are gearing up for the possibility of more violent protests. The first day of school, which was supposed to be today, has been postponed again. There was more chaos in the streets of Ferguson overnight as police officers in riot gear fired tear gas into crowds of protesters. Police say demonstrators threw Molotov cocktails, fired guns, and looted stores. The violence increased over the weekend after police released surveillance video of Brown allegedly stealing a box of cigars from a convenience store just minutes before he was gunned down.
This afternoon, U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder will brief President Barack Obama in Washington on the federal investigation into Brown's death. President Obama also came back to Washington last night from his Martha's Vineyard vacation so he can be updated on the crisis in Iraq.
This morning, the president met with his national security aides at the White House. Iraqi and Kurdish forces say they've gained back control of the country's largest dam from Islamic militants after 2 days of U.S. airstrikes. The president is planning to resume his vacation tomorrow night. Concerned citizens in Lino Lake say they're worried because soon they will have fewer firefighters in their city.
Today, lawyers for the group say they expect to file a lawsuit against the city council. The council voted to break away from the Centennial Fire District to make its own city-run fire department. Nina Moyni is live outside of the Lino Lakes fire station, and we understand these citizens tried to get this issue on the ballot in November for a public vote.
Sure, Natalie, and time is running out for that. The attorney who's helping out these concerned citizens tells me that actually by Thursday, the judge here will have to make a decision because we're just running out of time before that November election. So it's sort of a last effort for the people of Lino Lakes here. Right now, Lino Lakes is the largest of 3 cities that are within the Centennial Fire District, and they're wanting to stay a part of that district. But the city says that they've been paying for more than the other cities, and so they wanted more ownership, so they decided to break off. But dozens of people today tell me, including some people, members of the fire department, firefighters, they are not satisfied with that decision. The city of Lino Lakes tells me that it was paying for about 70% of resources for the whole district. That also supports the smaller communities of Circle Pines and Centerville. But the resources were split evenly 3 ways, and the city council wasn't happy with this arrangement, so it decided to break off. Several members of the town today, hundreds of people, say they're concerned that they're going to have less resources and slower response times as a result. More than 800 people signed a petition in the town to bring this issue to a public referendum vote in November, but the city denied the request, saying the public can't overrule an administrative decision by the council.
Because we believe the people of Lino Lakes deserve a chance to vote on the level of fire and medical services provided to them and their families.
We will absolutely have the resources we need to respond to the emergencies within our city, be it fire, police, emergency management, or medical. We will have those people in place and ready to respond in January of 2016.
And you heard it there. In 18 months, the city tells me that their new fire departments run by just the city of Lino Lakes should be fully operational. And they say that while they may not have as many people in manpower, they're hoping to redistribute some of the other resources within the city, like emergency response vehicles of other kinds, and to include the hospitals, to try and make up for less manpower where the firefighters are concerned.
And how many firefighters will the new Lino Lakes department have?
Well, right now, between these 3 cities within the Centennial Fire District, there are 60 firefighters, 20 per each station per each city. I'm told that the city is expecting by the time they open up in 18 months to have about 30 firefighters. They're actually beginning the hiring and training process now. But again, they say despite having a less number of actual firefighters on the ground here, that they're hoping to be able to make up for that. They guarantee, in fact, they'll be able to make up for that with some of the other emergency management resources here in Lino Lakes.
Sure, that makes sense. Nina, thank you.
A new report says it costs nearly $250,000 to raise a child these days. When you add up all the costs for food, housing, childcare, and education, the U.S. Agriculture Department says parents will spend more than $245,000 to raise one child born last year until they're 18 years old. It's almost 2% more than for a child born in 2012. A child born in 1960 cost their parents a little more than $25,000.
Quite the difference.